What if the world you inhabit, the one you touch, see, and hear, is not the sole reality? What if, in a profound sense, you are already existing within what many define as the other world? This astonishing proposition lies at the heart of what is known as the Seth Material, a series of books channeled by the American author and medium, Jane Roberts. For decades, these texts have offered a radical reinterpretation of consciousness and reality, suggesting that our conventional understanding is profoundly limited. We embark on an investigation into these claims, examining the proof Seth proposed is everywhere, if only we knew where, and how, to look. The story begins in Elmira, New York, in 1963, with Jane Roberts, a poet and science fiction writer, and her husband, Robert Butts. During experimental sessions with a Ouija board, Roberts began receiving messages from an entity who identified himself as Seth, an energetic personality essence not bound by physical form. Seth claimed to be teaching from a non-physical dimension, communicating complex philosophical and metaphysical concepts through Roberts. This purported communication continued for over 2 decades, resulting in numerous books that would challenge conventional thought and spawn a global movement of followers and researchers. Seth's central message, repeatedly emphasized across his teachings, is that consciousness is not contained within the body and physical reality is but one of many manifestations of consciousness. He asserted that what we perceive as reality is a highly individualized construct, generated by our own beliefs, expectations, and subconscious processes. The radical implication: there isn't a single, objective otherworld distinct from this one, but rather an interconnected spectrum of realities, and our current physical existence is already a part of that larger, non-physical framework. We are already there, but our focus is narrowed. According to Seth, the distinction between here and there, between physical life and an afterlife, is largely an illusion born from our limited sensory perception. He stated, "You are always in the other world, but you are not always aware of it." This perspective dissolves the traditional boundary between life and death, presenting them as mere transitions within a continuous flow of consciousness. The other world isn't a distant heaven or hell, but a fundamental aspect of our existence, ever present, though often obscured by our intense focus on the physical plane. We merely shift our attention. One of the most accessible forms of proof Seth offered for our multidimensional nature is the phenomenon of dreams. He proposed that our dream state is not merely subconscious processing, but a direct experience of other layers of reality. In dreams, the usual constraints of time and space often dissolve, and individuals report experiences far more vivid and expansive than waking life. Seth suggested that during sleep, our conscious awareness can travel to other planes of existence, interact with other aspects of ourselves, or even experience probable future events. These are not mere fantasies, but legitimate excursions. The concept of lucid dreaming, where the dreamer becomes aware they are dreaming and can even control aspects of the dream narrative, lends credence to Seth's claims. Researchers like Dr. Stephen LaBerge at Stanford have extensively studied lucid dreaming, demonstrating that individuals can consciously interact with their dream environments. Seth explained that lucid dreaming is a partial awakening of our greater self within a non-physical context, offering a glimpse into our innate ability to navigate and shape non-physical realities. It serves as a direct, personal experience of consciousness operating outside rigid physical laws. Further evidence, according to Seth, comes from out-of-body experiences, or OBEs. These are phenomena where individuals report perceiving the world from a location outside their physical body. Accounts range from floating above one's body during sleep to traveling to distant locations or even other dimensions. While mainstream science often attributes OBEs to neurological events, Seth contended they are authentic experiences of the inner self detaching from the physical form, exploring other aspects of the greater reality it inhabits. It's a temporary, conscious shift in focus, demonstrating consciousness's independence. Perhaps the most compelling anecdotal evidence for a non-physical reality comes from near-death experiences, or NDEs. Individuals who have been clinically dead and revived often report strikingly similar experiences: tunnels of light, encounters with deceased loved ones, feelings of immense peace, and a review of their life. Seth described NDEs as a natural transition into other dimensions of awareness, where individuals are briefly released from the confines of the body and experience their true multidimensional nature. These reports, documented extensively by researchers like Dr. Raymond Moody and Dr. Bruce Grayson, challenge purely materialistic views of consciousness. While NDEs offer powerful anecdotal narratives, the scientific community remains divided on their interpretation. Explanations range from oxygen deprivation to neural activity in a dying brain, or drug-induced hallucinations. However, consistent reports, even across different cultures and ages, present a challenge to purely physiological explanations. Researchers like Dr. Sam Parnia have investigated NDEs during cardiac arrest, finding some patients reporting verifiable perceptions during periods of clinical brain inactivity. This suggests that consciousness might, at times, operate independently of a functioning brain, aligning with Seth's assertion of consciousness as primary. Intriguingly, some theoretical physicists draw parallels between Seth's non-physical concepts and the baffling nature of quantum mechanics. At the subatomic level, particles behave in ways that defy classical logic, existing in multiple states simultaneously until observed, and showing non-local connections. This observer effect suggests that consciousness might play a role in shaping reality, a concept echoing Seth's assertion that our beliefs create our experience. While Seth's teachings are metaphysical, some physicists, like Dr. Fred Alan Wolf, explore how quantum principles might hint at a deeper, interconnected, and consciousness-dependent reality, beyond our everyday perception. Seth also offered a radical perspective on time, stating that all moments exist simultaneously. He argued that our perception of linear time, past, present, and future, is a construct of our physical minds, necessary for navigating this particular dimension. In non-physical reality, all events, all nows, are coexistent. This challenges the deeply ingrained belief that time flows in one direction, implying that our future is not yet determined and our past is still accessible. This perspective means that our current choices influence not only what we call the future, but also our understanding and experience of the past. A profound extension of Seth's concept of simultaneous time is the idea of probable realities. He suggested that every choice we make, every decision, branches off into a probable reality where an alternate outcome plays out. For example, if you choose coffee over tea, there's a probable self experiencing the tea choice. These probable selves are not separate individuals but different facets of your greater identity, continuously exploring myriad possibilities. Seth claimed that in the non-physical, we are aware of and can even interact with these probable selves, indicating a vast, branching landscape of existence beyond our immediate perception. How do we access these other layers of reality if our physical senses are so limited? Seth introduced the concept of inner senses, which he argued are latent abilities within every individual, allowing perception beyond the physical. These inner senses include clairvoyance, clairaudience, precognition, and direct cognition, among others. He maintained that these are not supernatural gifts, but natural extensions of consciousness that our physical focus often suppresses. Developing these inner senses, Seth suggested, is key to becoming aware that we are already operating within the other world, perceiving its nuances and communicating with its various aspects. A cornerstone of Seth's philosophy, and a crucial aspect of his proof, is the assertion that you create your own reality through your beliefs, expectations, and inner feelings. He emphasized that physical reality is not fixed and objective, but a direct manifestation of our inner state. If we truly are already in the other world, then the mechanism of creation must operate differently than a purely materialist view would suggest. Seth argued that our beliefs act as energetic templates that shape and coalesce into the physical events and circumstances of our lives. This means changing our reality begins internally. Within Seth's framework, imagination is not mere fantasy, but a vital link to non-physical reality and a powerful creative tool. He taught that our imagination is a faculty through which we interact with other dimensions and seed our desired realities into existence. When we imagine, we are, in a sense, visiting probable realities or creating energetic blueprints that can then manifest physically. This suggests that the other world is not only out there but also deeply within, accessible through our creative mental faculties. It's a bridge between the inner and outer, the non-physical and the physical. If we create our own reality, how does Seth address suffering, disease, or evil? He argued that even seemingly negative experiences are ultimately self-generated, often stemming from subconscious beliefs, inherited patterns, or collective agreements. This does not imply victim blaming but highlights the profound responsibility inherent in conscious creation. Seth contended that while challenging, these experiences serve as catalysts for growth and understanding within the larger framework of the soul's journey. From the greater perspective of the other world, suffering has a different context, often as an intense learning opportunity for the entire self. Perhaps the most comforting, yet equally challenging, implication of Seth's teachings is the concept that there is no death, only transition. If we are already multi-dimensional beings existing within the other world, then the cessation of physical life is merely a shift of focus, a shedding of the physical costume. He described the process of death as a gentle awakening, where consciousness disentangles from the body and realizes its true, expansive nature. This perspective, shared by many NDE experiencers, offers a radical re-evaluation of mortality, reframing it not as an end, but as a continuity of experience on another plane. Seth claimed that communication with deceased loved ones is entirely possible because consciousness persists beyond the body. He explained that spirits of the dead are simply focused in another dimension, and through developing inner senses or practices like mediumship, connections can be made. Numerous anecdotal accounts of after-death communications, ADCs, where individuals report experiencing signs, visions, or direct messages from deceased loved ones, offer further corroboration. While often dismissed, these experiences resonate with Seth's assertion that the other world is not far away, but seamlessly interwoven with our own, accessible under certain conditions. Central to Seth's model is the concept of the greater self, or the all that is. This represents the entirety of our consciousness, far beyond the ego-bound personality we identify within physical life. Our individual conscious self, Seth explained, is but one fragment or expression of this vast, multi-dimensional entity. This greater self simultaneously experiences all its probable lives, past lives, and even non-physical existences. The implication is profound: we are not isolated individuals, but interconnected expressions of a grander, ever-evolving consciousness, whose true scope extends far beyond our current awareness. Seth's teachings fundamentally challenge the prevailing scientific paradigm of materialism, which posits that only physical matter is real and consciousness is an emergent property of the brain. By suggesting that consciousness is primary and creates matter, Seth reverses this order. He states, consciousness forms the brain, not the other way around. This is a significant point of contention with mainstream science, which demands empirical, repeatable evidence. However, Seth's followers argue that the evidence is subjective experience, dreams, NDEs, and the very unfolding of our reality based on belief. The debate highlights a fundamental clash of worldviews. If we are indeed already in the other world and constantly creating our reality, this places immense responsibility on the individual. Seth emphasized the power of conscious thought and emotion, urging individuals to become aware of their beliefs and actively choose those that foster well-being and growth. He believed that recognizing our inherent creative power is the path to personal transformation and collective evolution. This isn't merely a philosophical concept, but a practical guide for navigating life, where every thought, every feeling, contributes to the tapestry of our existence, both physical and non-physical. Within Seth's grand narrative, our purpose in physical life is not random but integral to the greater self's exploration. We choose to incarnate into physical reality, drawn by specific lessons, creative expressions, and unique contributions. The other world is not a place of idle bliss, but a dynamic, creative training ground. Seth suggested we are here to experience, to learn, and to bring new perspectives back to our greater self. This framework offers a profound sense of meaning, where every life, every challenge, every joy, serves a higher, multidimensional purpose, intricately woven into the fabric of all that is. Many spiritual traditions speak of an ultimate oneness or interconnectedness of all things. Seth's teachings resonate with this, explaining that because everything originates from all that is, all consciousness is ultimately unified. The illusion of separateness is a product of our physical focus. When individuals experience moments of profound spiritual insight, deep meditation, or even certain psychedelic states, they often report a feeling of merging with everything, of dissolving boundaries. Seth would say these are brief, conscious glimpses of the other world's true nature, a continuous, unified field of consciousness from which all individual expressions arise. Despite its profound impact, the Seth Material faces significant skepticism. Critics often question the validity of channeled communication, suggesting it might be a product of Jane Roberts' subconscious mind, elaborate fantasy, or even a psychological dissociation. The lack of empirical, verifiable predictions or direct scientific proof is a frequent point of contention. Mainstream psychology might interpret the experience as cryptomnesia or multiple personality phenomena. It is crucial to acknowledge these counter-arguments, as they highlight the difficulty in objectively validating metaphysical claims that fall outside conventional scientific methodologies. The proof remains largely experiential and interpretive. Ironically, Seth himself addressed the issue of belief. He consistently stated that it is not necessary to believe his teachings to benefit from them. Rather, he encouraged personal experimentation and observation. If reality is indeed created by belief, then the individual's conviction about Seth's concepts, or any other, will shape their experience. The proof then becomes deeply personal. How does adopting these ideas change one's life, perception, and creative power? This shifts the burden of proof from external validation to internal experience, a hallmark of many spiritual paths that emphasize personal truth over dogma. Despite the controversies, the Seth Material has influenced countless individuals in various fields, from psychology and parapsychology to art and spiritual development. Authors like Deepak Chopra and Esther Hicks, Abraham Hicks, have cited Seth as a foundational influence. His ideas about creating reality, the nature of consciousness, and the multidimensional self continue to resonate, offering a framework for understanding experiences that defy conventional explanations. The books remain in print, translated into many languages, a testament to their enduring appeal and the profound questions they raise about the nature of existence. Ultimately, Seth's Forbidden Interview serves as a profound call to expanded awareness. It challenges us to look beyond the obvious, to question our assumptions about reality, and to recognize the inherent power of our own consciousness. Whether one accepts Seth's claims literally or metaphorically, the ideas prompt a vital inquiry. What if there's more to reality than meets the eye? What if our perception creates our experience? And what if the other world isn't a destination after death, but a continuous, dynamic aspect of our present moment, waiting to be consciously engaged? The implications of being already in the other world are truly transformative. It reframes our understanding of existence from a linear, finite journey to an expansive, multidimensional adventure. It suggests that our current life, with all its challenges and triumphs, is a deliberate, chosen experience within a much larger context. This perspective can imbue everyday life with deeper meaning and purpose, recognizing that every interaction, every thought, every feeling, reverberates across dimensions. It encourages a shift from passive observation to active participation in the co-creation of our reality, both physical and non-physical. If we are indeed facets of a greater self, what does it mean to live from that understanding? Seth suggested it means embracing our creativity, trusting our intuition, recognizing our intrinsic worth, and understanding that our emotional states are powerful indicators of our alignment with our true nature. It implies a move away from fear and toward love, as love is seen as the fundamental energy of creation. This is not just a theory, but an invitation to a different way of being, a practical application of metaphysical principles that promises a richer, more empowered, and deeply connected existence, here and now. The Seth Material paints a picture of an unseen architecture of reality, a vibrant, fluid, and interconnected web of consciousness from which our physical world emerges. It suggests that what we consider solid and separate is merely a temporary, collective agreement within this larger framework. The proof is indeed everywhere, according to Seth, in the subjective experiences of dreams, NDEs, intuition, and the undeniable creative power of our own minds. It's a call to perceive reality not as a rigid structure, but as a living, breathing, and highly responsive energetic field, constantly shaped by our inner states. The Forbidden Seth interview, as some have called it, continues to spark dialogue and introspection. It asks us to consider whether our current scientific models are sufficient to explain the full spectrum of human experience. It challenges us to bridge the perceived gap between science and spirituality, between the tangible and the intangible. As an investigative journey, it doesn't offer definitive answers but rather compelling questions and a framework for personal exploration. The dialogue is ongoing, inviting each of us to become our own researchers, probing the boundaries of reality in the depths of our own consciousness. From the radical claims of an energetic personality essence to the tantalizing overlaps with quantum theory and the profound testimonies of NDEs, the journey through the Seth Material offers a transformative lens through which to view our existence. It suggests that the other world is not a place we go to, but a dimension we are inherently part of, constantly interacting with and shaping. The proof, according to Seth, lies not in external validation alone, but in a shift of inner perception. It invites us to open our minds, trust our inner wisdom, and embark on our own discovery of the multidimensional self that we truly are. So, are you already in the other world? The Seth Material presents a compelling case, inviting you to test its premises in your own life. Observe your dreams, reflect on your beliefs, and consider the profound creative power of your imagination. The ultimate proof, it seems, may not be found in a laboratory, but within the rich, expansive landscape of your own consciousness. This is not merely a philosophical exercise, but an invitation to live a life imbued with greater awareness, purpose, and understanding of the magnificent reality you are always a part of, whether you consciously perceive it or not.